Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Warmest greetings one and all, and thanks for tuning in. This Foodie episode will cover 3 cities, and I'm excited to take you along on this journey of mine. So let's start this video right here in the capital city of Australia's second largest state. And good day everyone, and welcome back to one of my videos. And my trips are never complete unless there is some foodie element involved in it, right? So on this video, I'm traveling across Australia, traversing through Brisbane, Sydney and Perth. So of course I'm gonna eat my way through these 3 places. So today I'm coming to you from the first destination, which is right here in Brisbane. So I'm kinda hungry, so let's get going and get something to eat, alright? Yeah, so follow me on this foodie journey and I'll show you what I eat. Let's do this. If you're new to my channel, my name's Ryan. Born and bred in Singapore, my love for food and travel knows no bounds, which explains why you always see me taking to the skies to eat at far-flung places away from my home state of South Australia. Today is no exception, where my journey started this morning in Adelaide, and I'll eat through Brisbane today. I'll spend the whole day in the air tomorrow flying to Sydney, and then getting on one of Australia's longest domestic flights to Perth, where this foodie video will continue. This series will conclude with one final transcontinental flight back to my home airport of Adelaide. If you like unsponsored travel content, why not hit the subscribe and bell icon? Make sure you smash the like as well, so you'll encourage me to keep on doing what I do. So here's a thanks, because your support is very much appreciated. I just saw this place called Roti place and I looked at the menu. I like what I saw, so I'm gonna head in to grab a quick lunch and yeah, come, let's go see what the restaurant is like. Yeah, let's do this. I live in South Australia. As much as I love to eat, there are times I crave for a taste of motherland. This is where my home city of Adelaide falters really badly. Malaysian and Singaporean cuisine has a lot of overlaps, so I can sometimes get the cravings satisfied at a Malaysian restaurant like this one. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed this one will hit the mark. But based on the aroma which hits you immediately on entry, something tells me Roti place will do just fine. I present to you Ba Kut Teh, which from Hokkien literally translates into pork rib tea. It's a very peppery meat broth simmered with heavy spices consisting of star anise, fennel seeds, ginseng, garlic, cinnamon and cloves. It's very commonly found in both Singapore and Malaysia, although the Malaysian version is known to be a little brownish like what we have here. The Singaporean one is a light grey and almost white, but this will do for now. Popular accompaniments include strips of fried dough known as yu jia kueh, and this is dipped into the broth to soak up all the deliciousness. The tea portion connected to the name refers to the fact that a strong Chinese tea is often served together with Ba Kut Teh. The belief is that the tea would dilute and dissolve the copious amount of fat consumed with this heavenly porky dish. As far as I'm concerned, fat is flavor. And this afternoon, I'm one happy little nugget of joy as I savor this extremely flavorful taste of motherland. It takes me back to the humid, sweaty confines of a noisy coffee shop in Singapore, where we would be perspiring buckets just so we could enjoy this tasty broth. Now that I live in Australia, this is by all accounts a perfect dish for winter. In Malaysia and Singapore, these tender pieces of pork is normally ribs, but this restaurant uses loins, and we normally dip them in a pungent concoction of dark soy and bird's eye chili, which I would live to regret this later on. Oh my goodness, the chili was so damn bloody spicy. Oh, Man, I had so many glasses of water and it's still burning my mouth. Anyway, that was lunch sorted. So I'm just gonna take a walk around the mall, and what do you know? Next thing you know, it's time for dinner again. Yeah, so let's go shopping. Winter in Brisbane is perfect for walking. The daytime weather is high 10s, low 20s, so it's an absolute ideal air-conditioned weather. After a little trot through the mall, I walked back to my hotel in preparation for dinner. I stayed at the Inchcolm on Spring Hill, and there is already a hotel review video out on my channel, so I highly recommend you check that out as well. Links in the description below. And here is where I'll be having my dinner tonight. The Inchcolm is a tiny little boutique hotel, therefore the menu is appropriately tiny as well. Suppose that goes with a tiny kitchen. As I had an early start to the airport tomorrow, it was just a quick dinner and straight to bed afterwards. If there's one thing I'd appreciate, it is a good piece of steak. Tonight's dinner is a fillet steak with these exquisite looking braised onions and mash. And I cannot wait to dig in. I'm glad there's no need to reach for any salt and pepper because this dish has been seasoned just perfectly. The only way I'll ever have my steak is medium rare. Any more than that, I really don't see what's the point of even having a steak anymore when it's all rubbery and flavorless. Indeed, this fillet was just so silky smooth, and it was just like slicing into butter, beautifully seared. How good does this look? And those braised onions. Man, I've never had them this way before, so this came as an absolute treat. They definitely had a tangy aftertaste, so I reckon a large dose of Worcestershire was used in the broth it was braised in. I have no complaints about this, and it went down a treat. Just wished that the portions were a little bigger though. I was really still craving for a bucket of KFC after this. The next morning, breakfast was nothing really groundbreaking. It was the normal breakfast at the airport Qantas lounge where eggs and sausages were calling my name. It was accompanied very nicely by refreshing fruits and some excellent barista-made coffee. On the flight down to Sydney, a beautiful mushroom and bacon quiche was served as a mid-morning snack. While the taste was on point, the soggy bottom marred the overall experience, which was a shame. In Sydney, lounge catering isn't exactly the highlight, and it's a known fact they don't compare well to other lounges of Brisbane, Melbourne and Perth. True enough, just based on looks alone, you'd know the curry isn't up to scratch. So I stuck to the tried and tested formula of excellent soups the Qantas kitchen churns out. And this was a good choice. A comforting, chunky serve of tomato and coconut soup is just what the doctor ordered on this chilly winter afternoon. I next got on one of the longest scheduled domestic flights in Australia and flew across the continent bound for Perth. We were served a lunch of kung pao chicken. If the curry earlier on is any indication, I normally absolutely steer clear of any Asian food on Qantas. But on this flight, this was unfortunately all there was left by the time the flight attendant got to us in row number 3. This tasted nothing close to kung pao chicken. It was weak and tasted no different to the Asian takeaway stalls in a suburban mall, which would have caused my ancestors to rise from their graves in protest. In fact, I got so peeved with this experience I felt compelled to talk about this in a separate video, about how the kitchen of Qantas frequently disrespects Asian ingredients. I mean, I wouldn't even dare to make a plate of meatballs and spaghetti and serve it to an Italian nonna, unless I was 100% sure it was up to scratch. So for Qantas to serve up dishes like these, which holds so much cultural significance to us, and butcher it like that, it is just not on. Although I did rather enjoy the kale and barley starter with smoked salmon. Ultimately, I did force myself to finish everything because I was just so hungry. And with that, I arrived in Perth to continue this foodie journey of mine. And just like that, we're here in Perth. So after getting off the plane from Brisbane and Sydney today, this is where I've ended up, the state capital of Western Australia. And time really flies. It is now evening and I am here in Northbridge. So tonight we are going to this restaurant that's behind me. You see the red banner over there. So that's where we're heading to for dinner tonight. It is called Chee House. Yeah, it's a Malaysian restaurant, and I'm eager to get some flavor into me to see. So I'm pretty eager to see what the menu is like. So come along with me and I'll show you. Let's do this. I'm a self-confessed closet Ching Chong Chinaman, because the first thing I do whenever I visit anywhere is to Google where the default Chinatown is. In Perth, it's here in Northbridge, because you can always count on eateries in Chinatown to serve up hearty, comforting, and most importantly, reasonably priced delicacies. And Chee House is one such establishment. Besides the usual white people favourite of lemon chicken, honey chicken, Mongolian beef, plum pork, someone like me will totally ignore all of that and head straight to the good stuff. I hear some of you groaning. Australian Chinese food is pretty good, eh? Sure, everyone's entitled to their wrong opinion. Man, I'm so gonna get in trouble after this. If you've watched my other foodie videos, you'll know my obsession with Asian iced teas. And we have them ultra sweet. And this Malaysian way of doing it is with condensed milk. Want some street cred? Next time you walk into a Malaysian restaurant, just say you want teh peng, because this is what it's called. For dinner tonight, I present to you Wat Tan Ho Fan. And in Cantonese, it literally means slippery egg river noodles. There are two main components of this dish, which is cooked separately. The actual flat white rice noodles is flash fried in very high heat in a wok, with lots of oil, and tossed in a dark soy. This leads to bits of burnt edges and a slight taste of char, which can only come from wok hei, where the flames seep into the wok to create this wonderful smoky taste. And this forms the basis of all Chinese stir-fry dishes. The gravy is a thickened, starchy, silky, eggy sauce, which is then lathered over the charred noodles, which completes this dish as a whole. It is thought migrants from southern Guangdong province of China created this dish when they arrived in Malaysia. And since Singapore used to be part of Malaysia, this dish is also commonly found there. The immediate emotions it invokes is one of comfort and nostalgia. I've been eating Wat Tan Ho Fan as soon as I was able to digest solid food. So this dish and I go back a long way as I reflect on my complicated relationship with motherland, now that I'm an Australian happily settled in a little town north of Adelaide. But I digress, because this dish hit all the right marks and it was certainly a good way to round up what was a long, long day of travel. The next day, it was time for me to begin my journey back to my home airport of Adelaide, but not before I conquer the hotel breakfast buffet. You'd be surprised how exhausting it is travelling the way I do, so as much as I would love to head back to Northbridge this morning, nothing was opened this early. So hotel brekkie it is then. You'll probably never ever see me sit down for a continental breakfast. I mean, have you seen the way I eat? If I want to munch on bread, and oh, could you pass me more of that bread please? I'd stay at home and make myself a sad sandwich. So there's no better way to start my day off than with a full breakfast spread like this one. Fraser Sweets is Singaporean owned, so they sometimes have an Asian flair to their buffet. During my past stays, I've seen them lay out dumplings and siu mai, but they were sadly missing this morning. I always look forward to breakfast at Fraser Sweets in Perth. They are my go-to hotel whenever I'm here. And this being my last meal for this episode, let me now savor whatever's left on my plate so I can conclude this foodie video of mine. So bon appetit everyone! Well guys, that's the end of my foodie video here in Perth, which also means I've come to the end of the video. So if you've followed my entire journey from Brisbane all the way up to here, I mean, really thank you for your support. And you know, this video today is just part of a wider series of an entire travel series I've taken across the continent here in Australia. So make sure you check out those videos as well. So in the meantime, I have chucked details of my Instagram on your screen right now. So make sure you hit me up there, chuck me a follow so you can travel my travels in real time. Of course, more importantly, don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell notification icon so you know every time I embark on these sort of journeys across the continent to stuff my face with food. Okay, so take care all of you, and I'll see you for my next video. Bye!